Okay, hey, this is a bit of a different video. It's kind of a filler video while I work on my bigger project. I don't have a script, and I'm just gonna be playing some Peak Souls 2. Well, I do some talkage, about some games I've been playing while I've been making my videos, and then, I have a segment about some business at the end that, if you're interested, you can stick around for. I think now might be a good time to start with, Starfetchers is a project that came out a couple years ago. You can play the pilot right now, it's free, but they just released the DLC, Escape from Pork Belly, last year. It came out right around when I posted my Cloudberry video, and I fucking love it. It's made by the dev, Svavelstick, and that's not how you say that. The dev is named LK. And the artist is named If I recall, they wanted kind of a change of pace and something different to work on because Starfetchers was like absolutely murdering them. What kind of shocks me is the dev cycle was like less than a year. It was something like 9 months. The elevator pitch is just like, it's Punch-Out with roguelite elements. But the execution is like really impressive. The original Starfetchers had this very proprietary mouse-centric control scheme, and Escape from Pork Belly matches that. You have movement controlled very broadly with WASD, and then aiming and fine movement is controlled with the mouse. And then you just devolve into regular punch-out behavior. So that's the brawn. The brains is found in the item shop. There's like crazy random assortments of trinkets that do wildly different things to make crazy different builds. Or if you don't want to gamble, you can just dump into flat stat increases. Or both, which makes the strategy here very impressive. If you suck during any point, you can also spend money on healing, and the fact that healing is personified by injecting you with the Amen break is probably the funniest shit I've seen that year. And then, spoiler alert, after 10 rounds and 2 boss fights, you escape, but without Senyati, and then Best Girl leaves. And Zambadiz's like, fuck it, I'll do it myself. We'll do it live! And then this shit happens. The game throws on King Gizzard and just puts you into a victory lap where you take whatever build you've been working on and kick some cowboy ass. I think about this moment a lot. This is like easily one of the coolest moments in all my years of gaming. And if I just spoiled this for you, cry about it. Crybabies don't go to heaven. There's also like the dating minigame conversations in the shop every round with Nevada. God, I love Nevada. There's a bunch of like experimental effects, like there's a cutscene with text where it cuts to real life footage of a hand squeezing the orange head. Or like the ending sequence is all done in Blender, and apparently they learned that really fast and just threw it all together, but it looks outstanding. Not to mention the weird aspect ratio that the game takes place in, like it's shot on like a skateboarding camera. Bad example, I know. The guy who does music is named Saffron, and he is a delight in every way. I've used his music in the past before, and I've emailed him back and forth about it, so like, we're totally best friends. Also, the guy that did the theme song, Post Elvis, also did the music for Pizza Tower. He's also a big fan of Svanhild, and that's pretty based, I'd say. And it's all just oozing so much style that you can scrape it off and sell it for $6 a slice. That fucking sucked. Why don't you go alliterate some bitches, dude? Super Pilot is, what do you call it? Fucking Boost Racer, Future Racer. It's made by Dopa Games, two dudes that left Ubisoft to start working on their own games. It came out in 2018 in early access and still hasn't left that. But the game is outstanding. This is one of the greatest feeling racing games I've ever played. Even when you get to the really high, blistering speeds, you always feel like you're in control. My favorite F-Zero that I've played is F-Zero X for the Nintendo 64, and in that game, when you're going too fast and have too low of an acceleration stat, you'll kind of get really slidey, and that never happens in this game. Also, the loading times are very low because of how simple the art style is, so it's so easy to just pick up a cup and get into a game. I beat it in like 6 hours. Like, it's not tough, it's just really fun. I mean, I think you can unlock Master Difficulty. I haven't figured out how to do it yet. Between F-Zero and Wipeout, this game is far more F-Zero. F-Zero had two different kinds of boosting. I'm gonna call them Classic and Modern. For the first lap, you didn't have your own personal boosts. So in Classic, after the first lap, you would get a boost that you could use once anytime during the race. And then after every lap subsequent, you would get another boost. So you could save like 3 boosts for one lap or do 1 in each zone. And then Modern gives you a health bar, and every time you boost, you take from that health bar, which converted the healing zones, which they already had, into more tactical boost areas where you could boost through healing zones to, like, I don't know, it had layers to it, right? Super Pilot does its own thing where they're just like, okay, fuck the combat from the F-Zeros, let's just focus in on the boost health. So you're constantly always healing slowly, but when you boost, you go down on your health bar. So the faster you start to go, the more precarious it gets, and you have to start locking in. But you kind of lose that feeling of being in danger because enemies are usually pretty passive. Emphasis on usually. I forgot to mention, also, to balance it all out, they added Mario Kart style drifts, so when you go around a corner and strafe into it, you build up a boost meter, and then you can let it rip. And then they also took one of my favorite features in any game ever. Custom MP3 mode.
Super Mario RPG, Sonic the Hedgehog, Donkey Kong 3.
There's a folder in the game files that you can put in your own custom music and have it play as stage backgrounds. Phantom Pain had this, make your own custom 80s playlist. It was the best shit ever. Xbox 360 had this, you put a bunch of MP3s on a flash drive. It was the best shit ever. I don't know, maybe get this one on sale though, because it's pretty pricey. Full disclosure, the dev actually sent me a key to this game, which is not a thing I ever thought would happen in my life. I am beyond honored. Shout out to Dystopian. Tommy, you're really cool. Thank you for your email. I don't really like strategy games, let alone tower defense. I think Bloons and Kingdom Rush is about as hard as I went on those. But the gameplay loop conceived here is actually something special. I'm not really entirely sure where to poke into this, so I'm just gonna kind of spiel. Positioning is everything. You have to cultivate a garden while also placing gnomes to prevent invasions. The garden is important. The garden is important because it makes revenue, but as it gets bigger, it becomes a bigger accidental target for enemies. So you need to position your gnomes to protect the garden and the house. But putting a gnome in the path of the next wave will redirect the path, which leads to even further strategy. Placing 2 gnomes to redirect around your garden. Gnomes need a house though, so you need to be careful where you place your houses. And just when you think you're comfy juggling all these elements, now you have to worry about the shop. Any extra income that you don't want to spend on infrastructure, you can spend on little upgrades. Different kinds of plants that do different kinds of effects. You can optimize your garden with stuff like wheat, where if it's touching an adjacent wheat, you get extra money. Or you can make your garden a weapon. There's plants that do damage as you make enemies walk past it. Or the plethora of crazy little optimization upgrades. Making houses fit 2 gnomes so now you can instantly double your population. Or wet shoe boots that make it so that you can put your gnomes in swampland. Or getting plants that can only grow in swampland and can't grow in fertile soil, because there's also plants that make adjacent tiles fertile soil on the next wave. And I think I'm just kind of starting to scratch the surface on this interconnected cobweb of different game mechanics. I don't even remember what Banish does. This became my like go-to chill out in Discord game for a while. I put like 10 hours in it. I really fucking like this game. It comes out in April. I don't know if this video will be done before or after. And I think the biggest flex of all is this game's only like 40 megabytes. Okay, my favorite genre of all time, action platformer, which is very vague and covers a lot of ground, but bear with me. I think because of that, my favorite AAA developer of all time is Inti Creates. I literally own everything they've released on Steam, and it's mostly action platformers, including Umbraclaw. Umbraclaw has one of the most interesting art styles I've seen in recent years, with one of the most interesting gameplay loops I've seen in recent years. You play as a cat that died and you're trekking through hell to regain life, and you are squishy. The game resembles like a stealth game where you're avoiding enemies and sticking to unseen pathways, invincibly dashing through trouble. However, just like a cat, you have 9 lives, and each time you die, you gain a random animal-based ability, like a cheetah dash, or a mantis shrimp punch, an elephant trunk that lets you catch enemy projectiles. But after gaining 3 powers, you start to slip. You can accept or resist, and after 5 deaths, you can no longer resist. You have to power up. The game flips completely on its head, and you're suddenly given attacks, a double jump, faster speed, and all the powers you've been collecting. And you can just start tearing ass through the game. Enemies that were once tedious annoyances can be blitzed through without a second thought. This is justified in the story where it's like, oh, you lose sight of who you once were, and you forget your owner's face. Boo-hoo, I don't care. The story isn't very great.
Is there a reason you get so excited after taking a dump?
I'm just more impressed they've somehow managed to make a sensical gameplay loop that rewards bad play. I beat it in one sitting. It was excellent music, the gameplay is fluid, the locations are very varied. I especially like that part with all the storms and it turns into like VVV. It reminds me of that one cool area from Elden Ring. I don't know, Yoshi's Island vibes. Mirage Feathers. It's a lot like Space Harrier, but less of a clunky mess. I don't know a lot about the dev because I can't speak Japanese, but anime is cool. I like shmups a lot, and one of my favorite parts of them is the takeoff sequence. I like the little details in Raiden 2. Super R-Type had those cool little dudes walking around, and then he's like, Shah! And then you go flying. I think I showed the one from Pro Gear in my last video, and I fucking love everything about that one. It looks like a Ghibli movie. I think Mirage Feathers gets a 9 out of 10. It just feels outstanding. Excellent visuals. It absolutely nails the sprite scaling look, but with really good and varied locales. I like that part with the overgrown buildings that reminds me of Nier, and the ending of Padma Inverted. Also, the music really captures that era of, like, arcade-style music, but it's very original. I don't know, this shit's real good. Just dripping in polish. It's got excellent sprite animations, like the loading screen. The UI is super clean and unintrusive, but it still matches the art style. I don't know, it's good fun. My only complaint is that I think the story got a bit lost in translation. That's all I have to mention for now. Let's talk business, I guess. Truly, thank you for your interest. All the positive support you guys have sent my way has shown to me that I can do this, you know? However, we have reached a point that I can't realistically keep track of everyone, so sorry about that. I kind of feel weird calling it a problem because honestly I'm just honored. The script for my next longer video is finished and I hope to get it out next month. My goal for now is monthly uploads, with a higher effort video and a filler video alternating. I have a big trip I've planned.
You didn't make that deadline, dude. You don't gotta say anything about that.
I've decided to go part-time at my job and see if I can devote more time to this, so I hope you'll stick around.